Night, the remake, is a 2008 film. It's directed by Nelson McCormick, and Prom Night. Even though this is technically a remake of the 1980 film, it's nothing alike. The plot's completely different, which is probably a blessing in disguise. Brittany Snow, playing this character Donna, she comes home to find that her little brother, her father, and her mother were all murdered by this guy. And this guy, played by Jonathan Shake, he is her former teacher who was completely obsessed with her, wanted to be with her. He got fired from the job, but even that didn't stop him.
This guy, he got obsessed with a young female student. He went psycho. He's been in a maximum security prison up until 3 days ago.
3 years later, and Brittany Snow is still having trouble with this. She's having visions of him breaking out and trying to kill her. But it's also her prom night. So of course this guy breaks out, goes to the prom, and kills everyone to get to her. Now, Prom Night, this fucking movie, I will admit, sometimes you have your guilty pleasures. Sometimes you have a movie where you know it's horrible. You know it's a piece of shit. You know it's one of the worst remakes you've ever seen, but for some reason, you like it. That's what Prom Night is for me. And some of you are probably thinking, how the fuck can you like this movie? This movie is horrible. It's a piece of crap. Trust me, you won't get an argument. I don't disagree. I like Brittany Snow as Donna. I like Brittany Snow because she's hot, yes, but I also think she's a decent actress. I've seen her in a few different films.
Oh my gosh, you guys! This is it. This is all ending. Time of our lives.
Sure gonna miss you guys.
Cheers. Cheers.
And you have Idris Elba as the detective who's tracking this killer down and trying to save Donna. Idris Elba is such a great actor that in one way it's depressing and sad to see him in a horrible movie like this, but in another way, I think he does what he can. He's trying hard to do something with this movie.
Claire?
You find out who the killer is right at the beginning of the movie. They tell you. They just come out and show you his face, and they tell you everything about him. And throughout the film, you see his face. His only disguise is he goes into the prom with a baseball cap. And that's a major problem. I think they should have had this killer be a mystery. Should have had him be a mass killer, like the original film. Because ultimately, I don't think this plot's bad. I do sort of appreciate that they changed the plot, made this remake its own.
Hello?
Donna. Oh, I've missed you.
It's just when you show us who your killer is at the beginning, it takes away the suspense or the mystery, the intrigue. And then I don't really understand his plan either. He shows up at their prom, he kills the maid, and he just starts killing people, almost random people, and it's like, why is he doing that? I mean, when you see the way he broke out of jail, it's laughable. You see him, they said he was either in solitary confinement or a mental hospital. I don't really know which one, but maybe it's a combination of the two. But when you see him in the jail, he has like a roommate, he cuts that guy's throat, and then he just climbs up the ceiling through the vents and just escapes that way. I'm like, is it really that fucking easy to escape out of jail? Holy fuck.
Lisa! Lisa!
Like, where's the logic in that? And that's why I say that this movie is laughable. That's why when I see stuff like that, I go, okay, they're not trying to be serious. There's no way they're trying to be serious with this. This is when this movie turns into a comedy, and I'm sitting there literally laughing my ass off. And then when Brittany Snow's aunt and uncle finds out that the killer is loose and out there, they decide to not tell her at prom. They decide to not go to prom and get her out and bring her to safety. They say, well, for all we know, he's not even going there. So let's just let her have fun and let's see what happens. Really? That's your instinct. That's your first thought, is just to let's see what happens.
He's locked all the exits.
I can't find Lisa. Please don't do this.
And then this movie is jump scare galore whenever someone is afraid and they walk backwards for some reason. I'm like, when does anyone ever walk backwards when they're afraid or when they think a killer's after them? And they always turn around and, oh, they bump into a lamp. Oh, they bump into this. I was literally waiting for the cat that's in every horror movie to come out and just go, rah! And then all the kills are shitty. They're laughable. There's hardly any blood. Whenever he cuts someone's throat, it's like a paper cut and then splashes of ketchup go on the wall. And I know it's like that because it's PG-13 and there's an unrated cut that you could barely see a difference in.
I got officers down. I need backup now.
And I love the fact that there's like almost no such thing as cell phones. Like cell phones don't really come into play. Like the one black girl who's Brittany Snow's like best friend, she sees the killer. It takes her a while to like remember his face and think of it, but when she does, she's like, oh, I have to tell her. She doesn't call her on a cell phone. She runs out the hotel room of her boyfriend and she just runs down there. And then there's this huge chase scene with her and the killer that just, I don't really care if she lived or died. Because besides Brittany Snow, you don't really get to know any of these other kids, so you don't really give a shit. And one of the big complaints about this film is that the prom is too grandiose, it's too huge, it's too unrealistic looking. They might have a point, it might be too big, but I remember my prom, we had my prom at like a hotel as well, and it wasn't anywhere near that big, but it was a decent size. And also, your memory of prom is a lot bigger than probably what it was. So I think that's what they were going for. And I didn't even realize that Kellen Lutz is in this movie. Kellen Lutz, I don't know if you guys remember him in that movie Immortals. Or, yeah, I know him from Twilight, which I know is random. But, like I said, I like this movie for all the wrong reasons. I recognize how bad it is. I even explained how shitty all of this is. But it's whenever I watch it, I laugh. I laugh at all the dumb stuff. I laugh at the dumb logic. I laugh that they think that us seeing the killer at the beginning and knowing who he is throughout the whole film, that's supposed to be scary. How every kill is shot with like a shaky cam and close up of like their face as he's killing someone.
He's not gonna stop until he gets her.
It's just a laughable remake that I love to watch, to laugh at, and make fun of. But realistically, it's a piece of shit. It's horrible. So guys, let me know in the comments below what you think of Prom Night, the remake. As always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Later!